Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today we're going to be delving into another episode of the 2 EP review. Today we're looking at The Devil Wears Prada and another installment of their concept EP series, being Space, and a band I'm not familiar with in Smile on the Sinner with their EP Lazarus. So with The Devil Wears Prada, the first track on their EP is called Planet A, and it runs for about just shy of 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So we start the EP off with a bit of radio chatter between ground control and what is a spacecraft. Then there's this slow build, a little bit of ambience in the background, and then we get to hear the first vocal line of "Radio check, go." The vocals are vintage Devil Wears Prada. It's exactly what you'd expect. The drums are super solid, as they are almost every project that TDWP puts out. The guitars, again, as well, are super well done. There's a lull in the track which uses like these low, almost spaced out vocals before they kind of kick everything back into full gear. Lyrically, it's a topic of this person who's called Elizabeth, and she's an astronaut whose ship malfunctions, and by the sounds of it is the only survivor of the malfunction, breach, crash, what have you. And she ends up crashing and surviving on this unknown planet to them called Planet A. So from there, we end up moving into track 2, which is called Alien. This is on the shorter side. It's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and we get an interesting build before frantic vocals. There's background ambience, there's things that sound like gunfire going off in the distance and stuff like that. I think there's like these weird like glitchy sounds. There's like the drums pounding away, the guitars are like got a bit of groove to them, they're super well done. Lyrically, they don't actually say the word alien at all in this, but they describe things with like an extraneous existence, an earth-ending challenger, which they then say it seeks destruction, and they are 10 feet tall. They can see the teeth, they can see the eyes, etc. What I find weird here, I had to Google the word extraneous because I didn't know it, and apparently extraneous means something that is irrelevant or unrelated to the subject at hand, which is an odd choice of wording to utilize for a foe that could end Earth. Later on, they describe this same creature as climbing the walls, like I said, being able to see its eyes and teeth. They use terms like phantom or from the demon's mouth and like acidic saliva. So I think the references to acidic saliva and then also the utilage of the words "game over, we're done for" are maybe subtle or not so subtle, depending, nods to the movie Alien, because the xenomorphs in that obviously have like acidic saliva that melt through metal, etc. And I think there's a famous line in the first movie, if I remember correctly, delivered by the actor Bill Paxton, who says like "game over, man," or something like that. So yeah, it's all kind of like dancing around the subject of an alien almost, but without using the term alien. They never actually specifically say the word alien apart from for the title of the track, which I think is an interesting way to go about it, because they kind of like let you paint the picture of what you're seeing in your mind with their like vague descriptions. So yeah, From that, we then move on to track 3, which is Moon God, and this is about 3 minutes and 48 seconds, give or take. Here we get a slow build, again, more ambient sounds. There's some light piano like sprinkled in, and this goes on for about the first 42 seconds before Mike's vocals come in. The instrumental is all this like lowered tone, like very almost like chilled down, and then the chorus comes in where it all steps up into second gear. So like we were in first gear, you know, the intro was like neutral, then we go into first gear, now we're in second, and it's picking right up. The lyrics here talk of a moon god and ask him to watch over our protagonist with lines like, "Watch over me, inspect my mistakes, like a beacon necessitate my regret." And it's said in the chorus that said moon god can watch from anywhere and listen without regard. The question is this a literal god, or is this our protagonist talking to the moon, which can be seen to some as a beacon, especially in the animal kingdom, and for, again, some people it is a source of hope, and to others it could be a source of power, like in the early like pagan and, you know, other ages back before us, they believed the moon was a source of power and stuff like that to charge things. So it's a possibility that that could be the other option other than an actual literal god. Moving on, we have track 4, which is Celestial Machines. This is the shortest track on here. This is only 1.5 minutes, and it is a short instrumental interlude with distorted, very heavily broken up radio chatter and like bits of broadcasts. So the bits that I managed to find on like Genius and stuff like that, I actually had the transcript of what was said. I didn't copy it all down because not all of it felt necessary to point out. But the opening part says, "For the first time in 3 years, official clocks will pause for Earth's rotation to realign with atomic time." And then it talks about how the moon is affecting the tides, the rotation, how days will grow longer by like 1.42 seconds, and then, you know, like the timings of days and years will change and things like that. And it's a peculiar one, very peculiar. From there, we move into track 5 called Supernova. This is 2 minutes and 50 seconds long. This is easily one of my favourite tracks The Devil Wears Prada have ever put out. The guitars are groovy, the drums back it up amazingly. We get the chorus of "Where will you go? Where will you go? Where will you be when you forever sleep, when you leave me? If we could just stay here, lose track of time, I would be just fine in a galactic sea." I was trying not to sing that in the actual rhythm, but when you say it in a sentence, it doesn't have the same cadence as the way that they deliver it in the chorus, because it's spaced out and timed and stuff. So I was trying to get it accurate without ruining it and shittily singing it. It's so easy to sing along to, though, as I kind of like demonstrate there almost. Verse 1 and 2 are short, but paint a visual of floating across a universe and pondering if your friends miss you, or, you know, if they'll even recall your name and stuff like that. Verse 3 talks about how surreal supernovas are visually. The breakdown is then also the process of a supernova's creation. But some people online I've seen speculate that they think it could also be sort of a play on grief and depression, etc., because the terms like burning up and the way that they say, you know, you forever sleep when you're not with me, in the chorus or whatever. Like, some people have likened the descriptions to that of, you know, like I said, grief, depression, not wanting to get out of bed. There's a line where it's like, she's burning up, or something like that, which some people have said kind of like almost feels like somebody's not handling their grief and is getting ready to maybe take that step out of the world, shall we say, for YouTube's sake, which I could kind of see, but I also don't know if that's what they were going for. It could be slightly reaching, but it also could not at the same time. That's the great thing about some people's music. You can interpret it how you want, and you can see your own like side of things. Either way, it's a phenomenal song. I fucking love it. I have actually before listened to Supernova on repeat for a good 10 times back to back. It's such a good song. And then from there, we move on to track 6, the final track of this EP, which is called Asteroid, and it is 4 minutes and 25. So interestingly, on Amazon Music, this was listed under an asteroid towards Earth, but everywhere else on YouTube, Genius, etc., simply listed under the name Asteroid. Don't understand it. The song starts quickly with verse 1 as we are told the tale of an inevitable impact, a undeniable encounter, with lines about flames streaking through the night sky. Verse 2 then looks a little at the certain doom we are facing. The bridge is spacey and soft and slow and descends into a list of people to think about as our doom is racing towards us, as we are facing our end as a human race. And the outro then repeats, say goodbye one last time, it's getting closer now, before everything fades out to a few seconds of silence to end. It's such a good EP. It's amazingly done, and I do wish Devil Wears Prada would do a few more things like this, because they're not over the top concept albums. You know, like there's a loose concept, so obviously the space theme and Earth's destruction and like galactic events. And with Zombie, you know, there's like the loose term where we don't like follow, say like The Walking Dead, we don't follow Rick or a character throughout Zombie 1 and Zombie 2. We just follow and like learn of the zombies and like how to destroy them in Zombie 1, and then there's like some tales in Zombie 2 sort of thing. So it's well done without overstaying its welcome and overshadowing everything with too much information. So I think the Devil Wears Prada have really encompassed themselves with a great way to do their own concept thing and keeping it to an EP instead of concept albums, etc. So yeah, top tracks or in order: Supernova number 1, Asteroid 2, Planet A3, Moon God is 4, Alien is 5, just because it felt like one of the slightly weaker tracks. And then 6 is just Celestial Machines, because it's simply just a filler, like information piece to kind of help the narrative along. So, don't mind me. From there, we now move on to Smile on the Sinner's Lazarus. As I said, going into this, I didn't actually know who Smile on the Sinner were. I've never heard of them before. I think this EP came out in 2016, I think I read. And apparently they don't have much stuff. Like, apparently, I did see on Amazon Music they've released some singles in 2025, 2024, etc. But they haven't released a great deal of music. It's mostly singles. So, yeah, it's certainly interesting. Track 1 is called Disgrace. This is 2 minutes and 48 seconds, and we start off slow with a build to a take of Disgrace growled at us. The guitars sound really crisp and clean. The drums are solid, and you can clearly hear the cymbals being used, which I feel like in most bands you don't hear the cymbals being used that well, or that overtly, I guess. Vocally here, I would say the vocalist has a similar range to maybe Mike from Devil Wears Prada. Like they use some rough stuff, some clean stuff with like that gravelly tone, uh, and like some more middle range tones. Overall, it's pretty good, and I like the use of layered cleans and midtones for the chorus parts. Track 2, we then move on to Castaway, which is 3 minutes and 7. The guitars here flow between chunky and groovy and regular. They're backed by some great drum work and drum patterns. The vocals, again, are pretty damn solid. It flows very well as an overall song. Didn't have too much to say about it. Track 3, we then move on to Disbelief, which is, again, just shy of 3 minutes long. It's a quick start here, and it's a scathing take and look at America in 2016, kind of, with solid drum work and guitars and very good vocals throughout. It's a very good track that'll have you kind of just bobbing your head and enjoying the vibe. Track 4 is the title track, Lazarus. This is about 3.5 minutes long. Guitars are great off the rip. Yeah, so there's good guitars off the rip, and there's the vocal take of We Are Reborn. The drums go 10 to a dozen. It's very clearly, there's like solid guitars. There's like this na 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 na. That's not the way it was. I've completely forgotten how it sounds without listening to it, but there's like this weird sound in the background. I couldn't quite place what the fuck it was. It sounded cool though. It sounded kind of like synthy, but not synthy at the same time. The instrumental of this has a lot going on, but I kind of enjoyed it. Again, the vocals on this track are delivered really well. They're really clean. They're not over the top. They're not underperformed. They're just right. We then move on to track 5, which is Juggernaut. This is just over 3 minutes long. We start with a build into a line of, I may be small, but my heart is strong. I am a juggernaut. Verse 1 is equally as good, talking about being a failure, but not quitting and giving up on yourself. After the chorus, we get a crisp bleh over a pretty solid track. Overall, a pretty solid track with not one, but 2 good blurs at the end. Apologies if you've noticed me pausing this. People keep talking outside my door and I don't want the mic to pick it up. Track 6, the second to last track, is called Regicide. This is 3 minutes and 33 seconds. And for those of you that don't know, regicide is a noun and it means the act of killing a king. This kicks off quick. It's bouncy, yet fast-paced, with hints of aggression throughout. More delightful blares over this track. A really enjoyable one overall. And that is something I do have to say for this EP in and of itself as a whole. And the Smile on the Sinner vocalist really has these crisp, filthy blechs, and it is fucking great. We then move on to the final track, track 7, Phobia. This is a bonus track, and it's 3.5 minutes long. The final track here, and it starts with a short few lines, not even 42 seconds in, and we get another bleh. Vocals are clear, they're crisp, the lyrics sound like a description of almost like night terrors and how they kind of torment somebody. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but that's how I interpreted them myself personally. Not that I've ever experienced night terrors, that's just how it came across to me. It's a very good track and a very good note to end it off. So if I had to put them in order, I'd say Phobia, Regicide, Lazarus, Juggernaut, Disgrace, Disbelief, and then Castaway. Both were thoroughly enjoyable EPs. Both were very much fun. I would say I'm definitely going to check out more Smile on the Sinner. I'm intrigued to see what else they do and have to offer. But yeah, that is the 2 EP review done. And I'm just trying to see what is next on the list. So the next video will be Thy Art Is Murder and their Godlike album, which I still haven't listened to in full since it released. This is the first album that they put out after the CJ McMahon controversy and debacle. So yeah, I will be interested to actually finally sit down and listen to that in a whole, in a vacuum, instead of some songs here and there. So I will see you in that video in a few weeks, or in a week or so's time. Remember to stay safe out there, my friends, and I'm sorry this video was late. Goodbye.